I had a neighbor over a couple months ago to show him the space and talk about there maybe being loud music sometimes. He thought it was pretty cool and also had some really cogent questions about what exactly it would take to get started playing with this. Since then, I've been thinking about what would be the least it would take to get started experimenting to figure out if you even like this stuff. And I kind of broke it down into four things: a couple of lights, a way to control them, a source of sound, and a place that you can move in that gets dark. So, breaking those down, a couple of lights is the one that I'm going to talk with the most because that's, exciting to me at the moment. Probably the most important thing to know is that there are different kinds of lights that accomplish different sorts of things. And you want more than one of those kinds of lights so that you can go back and forth or combine them in various ways or layer them. The foundation would be wash lights. These fill a broad area with colored light. And as you add more than one, you gain exponential possibilities in the patterns that you can create. You can bring the intensity up and down on one or the other, or color back and forth or the same. If you have four different wash lights, you can chase from one to the next in a wide variety of patterns. Or if you can distribute them around a space, you can do stuff like right and left or up and down or right or bottom left, bottom right, top right, whatever. You can buy washes that are static, meaning they don't move, or for a little more money and fan noise and moving parts, you can buy washes that do move. I'm super fussy about fan noise, but if I were buying just a couple wash lights, I'd probably go with movers because you get the flexibility of being able to point them at like one wall and then a different set of walls and then the ceiling and then the floor or whatever like that. And it's an easy way to create large movement. For a small space, figure maybe $100 or $200 a light to get washes. Beyond washes, there are various ways you could break lights down. I would say one way to think about it is moving heads, which nowadays means yoke fixtures like this one. I've got enough haze that you can see the beam moving through the air, and there's also enough light that you can see the fixture itself, so you get a sense of what it can pan and tilt and do all the things. Effect lights, which, like, this is a pair of derbies, but effects would cover all kinds of weird, random, crazy ideas people have come up with over the years. You could maybe include mirror balls in this category. I think of lasers as something different, and I'm not going to go into lasers because that's a whole nother thing. And pixel eye candy. So these bars are useful either as washes or as a pixel mapped effect to create movement. You can also get different kinds of pixel taper sticks. So washes and then moving lights, moving heads, effects, and pixely goodness. These are all ways of giving you different kinds of movement. If you've got a couple wash lights and one or two effect lights, you can combine them in a whole lot of different ways. And that's probably the route that I would go for minimum viable lighting to experiment with, is a couple washes, maybe moving, maybe not, and an effect light, either a derby or something like this. Moving heads are kind of the staple of light shows nowadays, but if you're doing stuff at home and want good bang for your buck, I would suggest going for an effect light or two, something like these little derbies. They'll have a much wider throw, like these cover, it seems like more than 180 degrees, although I don't think that is actually true. These cover just a huge amount of room compared to, like, here we've got a pair of movers with prisms that are breaking up the beam, but it's still covering a lot less of the room than a single derby fixture. Like, those derbies were $100 or so each, and these movers are 300 and some each. You can spend a lot more than that on lights, but I think it's a better plan to get several inexpensive fixtures than like one or two big, really fancy ones. There's a pretty wide range of price points, from cheap, shitty lights that are going to fail fast and ugly through like inexpensive lights from reasonably reputable manufacturers. First ones I think of are like Chauvet, American DJ, Color Key. I'm especially fond of Color Key lately. I've had really good luck with OmniSystem and Blizzard lights also. So cheap, shitty lights, inexpensive lights from reputable manufacturers, and expensive lights that you take on tour with you to arenas and stuff. Chauvet has their professional line. Martin makes great lights. There are plenty more, but they're all way too rich for my blood. Like if you're spending 5 or 10,000 per head and you want several of them, that's more money than I've got. So that was my couple of lights extended talk. Next thing is a way to control them. I think being able to sync your lights and music is essential. Like every light comes with some kind of program where it'll react and do something or other in response to a beat if it hears one, but I wouldn't seriously consider that. Compare the way that these lights have felt while I've been talking versus when you can hear the music that they're set up to go with. You can control lights from a computer or a console using a protocol called DMX. You just connect them in a daisy chain. 3-pin DMX and microphone cables are not exactly the same thing, but I have never had a problem connecting even extremely long DMX chains with just microphone cable. That said, probably a better plan to buy explicitly DMX cable if you can. All you do is you connect a cable from the thing that you're using for control to the first light, and then another cable from that first light to the next light, and to the next light, and so on. It's also probably good to be in the habit of terminating your DMX chain. That's just a little terminating resistor that are like $8 that you plug into the end of the chain. There are various consoles for lighting control from like $50 on up, but I prefer computer. Consoles that cost less than like a new car or 3 are built on the assumption that you're going to have somebody there poking buttons, and I would rather dance. A lot of computer programs are built kind of similarly, but I am especially fond of SoundSwitch, which has less of that assumption. It'll work on both Mac and Windows. You can buy a little USB to DMX dongle for $40, and that comes with a 3-month subscription to the software, and then it's $8 a month after that. So it's pretty reasonable. There is definitely a learning curve, but there are decent tutorial videos here on YouTube, both from the company and from other people. I like dancing, and that's kind of my ultimate goal here, but the process of creating lighting programs for songs is also just in and of itself super creatively satisfying. So I'm going to combine the last couple to a source of sound in a place you can move that gets dark. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you're using SoundSwitch, you can play music directly from it, or it's easy enough to connect it up with Virtual DJ. I've got an old Mac Mini that's just sitting in the closet connected to a sound system bigger than my desk monitors, but there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. If neighbors are an issue, you can build your programs using headphones and then dance using wireless earbuds. If you do that, latency is going to be an issue. Virtual DJ has a latency setting that you can use to get the lights and the sound that's like 300 milliseconds or so off in your earbuds to play at the same time. I give myself space to dance by going furniture free, but even just decluttering is probably fine for one person. Blackout curtains or some kind of solid barriers you can stick in your windows are great if you just want to dance to a couple songs and not have to wait for it to get dark. Other considerations, something you maybe don't need to just get started, but is worth thinking about, is whether you're going to use haze or not. I did a whole video about this, but I really prefer not having anything in the air for an assortment of reasons. If you want to experiment, it's really easy to get spray haze just in a can. Here's what a light looks like without and with. It's also worth thinking about where you're going to put your lights. Hard, flat surfaces are fine, including the tops of speakers, like if you get towers, speakers. Carpet, not so good, is maybe a fire hazard. Also, curtains are a fire hazard if you look around my space. You can also use super clamps to attach pretty easily to wire shelving or light stands. You can buy all kinds of dedicated solutions for lighting support, like light stands or truss or whatever. But I build my own lighting support from strut that you can just buy at Lowe's or whatever. Whatever you do, you'll want to be able to experiment with lighting placement. You'll want to be able to move them around. I've been doing this for 25 years, and more often than not, I am wrong about where I think a given light will look best. So it's a sort of continuously evolving process. So make sure you allow space for yourself to do that. I know this has been a lot. Hopefully it's enough to get you started. If you're curious, I will put links to everything that I've mentioned down in the description. I'll also try to provide links to all the lights that you've seen in the video. I could go on and on and on about pretty much all of these things and will in future videos. My next one that I'm doing is going to be sort of a deep dive into derby fixtures, that kind of effect that I talked about. There are a few different ones. None of them are perfect, although there's one that's pretty close if you swap the fan. But I also found an alternative recently that I'm super excited about. So I'll talk about the different derbies and that alternative. Thank you for watching. Have fun. I'm excited that there are people interested in playing with lights at home. Again, hi to my neighbor. That was super validating to have somebody that excited about it who hadn't been exposed to it before.